Hey guys, welcome back. Today we're out the range with a brand new toy, and it feeds from a standard NATO magazine, 30-round magazine. And it seems like this is just pretty much what every gun feeds from, right? It's the accepted standard. I mean, we do have 50-round drums, 60-round drums. We have even 100-round drums. They're a bit clumsy and awkward, but let's face it, these things rock. They're small, they're light, you can carry a bunch of them in a vest, but they're not nearly as cool as a feeding device that looks like this. Now, there's about only one gun in U.S. inventory I can think of that feeds from something like this, and that would be an M249 SAW. Let's have some fun today. Alright guys, so let's first of all start off by breaking the 249 down. There are a number of differences between the full auto version and the new semi-automatic rifle. The first, which is really challenging, is that getting the barrel out of the gun isn't as easy as it would be on a machine gun. Machine guns fire from an open bolt. This gun fires from a closed bolt. That means when the bolt's closed, it's locked into the barrel extension, and you can't just remove the barrel by pushing the button, because on the machine gun you lock the bolt to the rear. Since you don't have the capability of locking the bolt to the rear, it's a little bit challenging, but it does come with this little thing that you can stick in the magazine well on the side, which will hold the bolt slightly to the rear to get your barrel out. So what you do is you pull the charging handle to the rear, insert the magazine block, and that locks your bolt to the rear slightly. Opening it up is just like the machine gun. You have these little ears on the end here. You just pinch them, and then your top cover comes up. Now you can see the little block that I inserted through the magazine well. You can see how it's holding the bolt to the rear. Okay, now that the bolt's held to the rear, I'm gonna go ahead and close the top cover and push the button, grab the charging handle, and I can just take the barrel off the gun, just like the regular machine gun. All right, now, the other thing that's important is if you do get the barrel off the gun without using this receiver block that I've put into the gun, and you take the barrel off by slightly holding the charging handle to the rear, and really does take 3 hands pushing the button and being able to pull the barrel out. If you don't use this bolt block, when you take the barrel out, your bolt's just gonna fall out behind it, and you could lose your bolt. There's also a tiny pin in the bolt that holds the firing pin in place that can be lost. So if you want to take the barrel out for transportation, for storage, or anything like that, definitely use this receiver block in the magazine well, okay? Now to disassemble it, I'm going to go ahead and take it apart by pulling the block out, opening up the top cover. Already have the barrel out. Now again, the bolt can just come right out the front real easily, but I'm going to try to take it out the back. You just have a push pin, just like on the regular gun, right here. Push it out. Has a big gnarled handle on this side. So if you push on it, get it started, you can grab that big gnarled handle, and that's just going to let your butt plate fall down. Now, in the rear, you have your recoil spring. You want to make sure your bolt's forward, okay? Push in on this, lift up, and the recoil spring will come out of the gun. All right, there's another pin here on the bottom. You push that pin across, pull on it. These are captive pins, and your buttstock will come off. Now, another difference between this gun and the machine gun is that this one is, like I said, I guess I gotta take this part out first, is striker fired, all right? So I'm gonna pull the striker out the rear, which is a different part than you'll ever see on a machine gun. There's your striker, okay? That's what flies forward in place of the entire bolt assembly. There's your pistol grip, trigger mechanism. Looks very similar to the machine gun, very simple. And now your bolt and carrier will come out of the gun, all right? Your bolt comes out of its carrier just by rotating. Now I've been using, I did take the gun apart already. We haven't fired it yet. This will be the very first time we fired it. I've been using this Battle Born grease. This stuff was developed for use the lubricant that's in it for use on miniguns, and it is a mil-spec lube that, again, is used on miniguns, or so that's what I'm told from the guys. I've been trying it on guns and having pretty good luck with it. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and put the gun back together. I'm going to go ahead and put the barrel in it because it'll keep the bolt from flying out. Put the barrel in, you just set it in just like you normally would. Push down the release and it just drops right in. Okay. Now that lets me set the gun up on end. Stand up here. Make sure that your bolt's in the forward position and line it up with the rails. Drop your gas piston in, goes in the gas piston hole. Line your bolt up with the rails and it should just drop right in once you get everything all lined up. Okay. Now you're going to take your striker assembly, make sure this little tail's to the rear, drop it in. It lines up, has a little tiny rails on it. It has its own set of rails it rides on. Set it in there, line it up with its little rails, and it'll go all the way forward. Take your recoil spring, put it inside the gun. Push it in, has a little ear in there, push it in, it locks into place like that. All right. Now you take your trigger mechanism, this has a notch here in the front, engages the receiver in the front, slide it up, hold it in place, take your butt stock, this bottom pin's going to hold everything in place. Try to hold everything where it's all lined up and push that pin across. Can be a little bit challenging. All right. Now, push that up, push that pin across. And your saw is ready to work. That's all there is to it. So it's very similar, yet somewhat dissimilar to using the full automatic version. The least fun part about owning a belt-fed gun is linking the ammunition. When you buy the M249 SAW, they'll send you a 30-round magazine because this one does feed from a 30-round NATO mag. They'll also send you this little box which attaches to the side of the gun full of links. My guess is there's maybe enough links here. These are M27, standard M27 links to make maybe a 200-round belt. We'll see. I'm just kind of guessing. So we're using ZQI M855 ball. This is military NATO spec ammo. It's as hot as it's going to get. You do need warm ammo if you're going to do this. So this is the fun part. Put two links together. You have this little tab on the end and just push the round through the two links until the little tab stops on the rim of the case. Grab another link, hold it like that, push around through. Seems like an awful lot of work. But once you get good at it, what's kind of funny is it's not as fast as loading a magazine, but it's pretty close. It's not bad. They do have linking machines, but they're so ridiculously expensive and hard to find that you'll wind up just doing it this way. All right, guys, so I'm going to shoot this from the bench because we're going to try to recover as many of these M27 links as we can. They're kind of hard to come by at times. I'm going to take my little pouch here, which just clips onto the receiver. It's just like the real full auto version. Slides in, locks into place. Now I'm going to put the weapon on fire, make sure that the bolt is to the rear, the striker's to the rear. Open the feed tray, and you can see your little internal feed tray. You can see the feed pods in here, how they work. All right, so what you want to do when you load it is brass towards the grass, right? Brass faces down. If you put this facing down, you're going to cause the gun to malfunction. We don't have starter tabs, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull the ammunition in. I'm going to set it. The first round butted right up against the stop. It's kind of hard to see, but there's a little stop right there. I want that first round butted right up against it. All right. We'll go ahead and close the top cover. And we should be golden. Now we got to run the bolt so we can pull the bolt to the rear and strip around from the belt. First link falls free, so it tells me there's more than likely a round in the chamber. Your fire control is right here. It is on fire. This thing is so heavy it's going to have zero recoil. Got challenge steel target downrange. We'll see if these sights from the factory are anywhere near being on. It's definitely hitting steel. I think I'm in love. Oh my God, I have a saw. Oh, I can't believe FN made this thing. God bless them. Guys, this is the first rounds fired out of this gun, right? We took it apart, I lubed it, cleaned it, inspected it. They are very expensive, very hard to come by. I think I might actually be the first YouTuber with one actually in the wild. We've seen them at trade shows. I shot them at trade shows. Did buy it. The FN didn't give us this gun. Copper Custom bought it for testing, and I didn't know what to expect. I am the happiest person on the planet right now because I have a saw. Holy cow. And what's even more awesome is the trigger pull is nice and light. Look at this thing smoking, guys. I gotta be kind to this. I do love it. I don't want to beat it up, but it's belt fed and it's freaking awesome. Holy cow. I wish I could let everybody watch and shoot this thing, guys. If you could, it does have its little flip up plate there if you want to use that. But I'm gonna let it cool off and do some more shooting with it here in a minute. I really got it smoking hot. But man, 100% function. Here's our links. It's running the ZQI ammo flawlessly. I really didn't know what to expect. I've owned belt-fed guns before in the past. I had one of the original Springfield M60s. It would break a firing pin every 50 rounds. I mean, a complete piece of junk. I even had, you guys are gonna kick me for this. I sold it too, but I sold all these. I had a HK21 308 belt-fed. It was a Volmer gun. And it kind of sort of ran disintegrating links, but I couldn't get the non-disintegrating links, and they were a pain in the rear end. It was not an E version where you could swing down the feed tray. You had to use starter tabs to get it going. It was unreliable. It malfunctioned 10 times a belt. I sold it foolishly because it didn't run a belt without a couple of malfunctions. I've had all sorts of belt-fed semi-automatics, and none of them have actually worked right. And I mean, I haven't got a full 200 rounds through it yet, but that is awesome. I have high hopes for this gun. It's still smoking. I'm just talking to let it cool off. It's 100 degrees out here today. But yeah. All right, I'm gonna put it on safe. Gonna let it cool off a bit, and we'll maybe even link up some more ammunition. I'm just frickin' giddy. All right, I let this gorgeous, beautiful hunk of machinery cool off a bit. The reason I'm doing that, guys, is I don't even know if I could get a spare barrel for it. It can certainly handle the abuse. It's a machine gun, okay? But like I said, we have a lot of money tied up in these things. These are $8,000 guns. And spare parts and whatnot, I don't even know if they're even obtainable. So I'd love to have a few extra barrels. We'll see how that plays out. So I'm going to try to save the barrel life, mostly because we're going to take this thing out to the 1,000-yard range, and we're going to see how accurate this thing is. I'm going to laugh my butt off if it outshoots the X95. And it may, who knows? Anyway, we'll find out, because we're going to take it to the long range next time we go. All right, so we haven't belted any more ammunition. This is right where we left off in the last scene. I'm just going to go ahead and put it on fire, and we'll just run the rest of the belt out, and then we'll see how the thing feeds from 30-round magazines. Now, what I'll say is, from when I was in the military back in the 80s, we had the saws, earlier versions, and their feeding reliability with 30-round magazines was less than stellar. So I'm going to be kind of curious to see how this one feeds from a standard 30-round magazine. All right. Trigger's really surprisingly light. Now the reset, you'll notice if you watch my video and I go back, I'm really slapping the trigger. That's because when I'm firing fast, I have to really let it all the way out before it'll reset. If I don't, you'll see it hang up. The gun is just, it's not malfunctioning, it's just you really have to let that trigger all the way out for it to work. But The trigger pull will have to weigh it if I have my gauge in the Jeep. It's surprisingly light, which is completely different than any other belt fed I've ever shot that's semi-automatic. It's a conversion of a machine gun. I'm going to stop beating up on that steel plate. I mean, we're only at about 50 yards and I'm shooting M855 ball, which has the penetrator in it. So I'm probably doing some serious damage to that target. I don't think I'm going to run out of ammo. This thing would give Diane Feinstein conniption fits. Down to the last few rounds over here. That's it. 100% function, not a single malfunction in that 197 rounds. As usual, the last link on the tray. I'm going to go ahead, make sure the weapon's on fire. I'm going to pull the bolt to the rear, inspect the chamber. Weapon's clear. Put it on safe. That barrel's smoking. All right, so that was darn near 200 rounds, guys. Flawless function. I could not be happier. I was not expecting that. Quite honestly, I expected to come out here and clear malfunctions today, given my past experiences with semi-automatic conversions of belt-fed machine guns. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and press the tab here. I'm going to take my drum box off. And now here's where it feeds from 30-round magazines. All right? So you just take your 30-round magazine. I'm going to go ahead and close the feed tray for this one. Make sure we got it. All right. Take your magazine. Stick it in. Locks in place. Go ahead and charge it. Then let's see if it fires from the mag. Alright, no malfunctions. Double check just to make sure when I say that. Yep, looks like it's functioning just fine. Chamber's clear. Drop the magazine out. Now I remember back in my day, the problem we would have is the saws would shear the feed lips off the magazines. I'm seeing some wear right there. Looks like it's hard on the magazine, so don't be surprised if you have some issues with 30-round magazines. No feed issues this time, obviously, but there's some pretty heavy wear from the first time. Like I said, when I was in the Corps, we would destroy magazines. They would shear those feed lips right off, and they would just shoot rounds all over the place and cause the gun to malfunction. It's definitely designed to be a belt-fed. 30-round magazines, or you use those when you're in real deep trouble and you're just trying to keep the gun up and running. There it is, guys. Take a look inside. See how dirty it is. Seems like the wear is pretty decent. Not a whole lot of finish wear. First 200 rounds. Looks pretty good. That Battle-Born grease that I'm using, still in there, still slippery. You can see it on my fingers. That stuff seems to do really well. So, wow. Color me fully impressed. Now, if I want to take that hot barrel out, we're going to use this little stop. Okay, I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to, once again, make sure that the weapon's clear. Go ahead and put it on safe. Put my top cover down. Now, I'm going to take my bolt stop, stick it in through the magazine well. All right, now I got to pull the bolt to the rear and pop it in. Now, like I said before, you can see how it's holding the bolt to the rear. All right. Keeps the bolt from engaging into the barrel extension, so I can now pop my barrel off. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and close all this up. Now I just push down this lever right here. Keep in mind, everything up here is gonna be smoking hot. Pull this lever all the way back and just wiggle There we go. And your barrel comes off. That thing's hot as heck. We're going to put the gun back together now. I just want to show you guys, you'll notice I had a little bit of a hard time getting the barrel off. You'll see right inside there all these brass shavings. That and the heat probably were causing it to stick just a little bit, because I took it apart right after I got done doing basically a belt dump. So we're going to go ahead and put it back together. We haven't lubed the gun up at all. I'm just going to go ahead and set the barrel back into the gun. I am come up on this side. I'm sorry. I got to do it so I can see what the heck I am doing here. There we go. Pops right in. She's ready to go. All right. Oh, gun's back together now. I am holding the bolt to the rear, the safety latch. I'm just going to go ahead and pop that sucker out. I don't need it. Strikers to the rear. We reloaded this. We found most of the ammunition. Didn't find it all. Now this is the first shots video, guys. And again, you're going to see this gun a lot more in the future. We're going to put suppressors on here. There are companies out there that are saying, oh, our cans are full auto rated. Well, I'm not aware of a full auto rating, but what we can do, or what that rating is, or what the specifications are, because I don't believe there's any standard specification for such a thing. But what we can do is take some of those cans that people are making those claims on and put them on this gun and run the snot out of them, run a 200 round belt through them as fast as we can pull the trigger. And I'll tell you, as a civilian buyer of a can, is it really as tough as they claim it is. So that's one of the reasons why I bought the gun. I'm going to grab my ears because my cameraman didn't make any motions to warn me. He was just going to let me do it. Ha ha ha. He used to go in like, uh-huh. It's a game we play here on the Military Arms channel. All right, I'm going to put the weapon on fire. Charge the weapon. Our first link falls out. Now, here's what's kind of interesting, guys. The links are falling out right here. The brass is sailing 6 yards. I took 3 to 4 yards that way, 6 paces. Look at the necks on those cases. It's violent ejection coming out of here, man. The primers hit nice and square, solid hits. But I think a lot of this also has to do with the fact that it's ejecting kind of downward. The ejection port's on the right lower hand side of the receiver, and it's chewing up this table over here pretty good. You can see where the rounds are hitting and just banging here. But still, despite that fact, they're still making it clear over to the Jeep. All right, so let's fire a few more rounds out of this bad boy. And if I'm feeling generous, I may even let Jason over there put the camera down, fire a few rounds. You want to do that, Jason? Yeah, I did. That was a dumb question. It was rhetorical.
That's a lot of fun. Everybody should have one of these.
All right, guys, I just want to tie things up for the afternoon. I just wanted to give you a first peek at the M249 SAW from FN USA, the semi-automatic belt-fed rifle. This thing is absolutely everything I expected, actually more. I was kind of expecting it to have problems. We've put over a half a case of ammunition through it this afternoon. We have not lubed it. We haven't done anything else to it. We've just shot the snot out of it. We've let it cool off a few times, but 100% function. Cannot complain. You will see this gun a lot more here on the Military Arms channel. As I mentioned previously, we will be using it for testing of suppressors and things like that. So I will go into greater detail about the inner workings, the field stripping, answering any questions you guys might have about the gun if you post those questions down below. And if you'd like to support the Military Arms channel, you can do that by shopping at Copper Custom. It's our online store. And please check out Full30.com. That's Full30.com. We've taken all the web's best firearms content creators and brought them under one roof, and that is Full30.com. Thanks again for watching, everybody. We'll talk to you guys soon. Now, to finish out this belt of freedom. God bless America and the 249 SAW.